Hey guys, this is Mark, and in this video I want to look at the possibility of whether you have or have not experienced childhood trauma. This is going to be a 35-point questionnaire. Answer yes or no, but I want you to answer in the way that precedes you hooking up with your ASD spouse. It's often the case that the spouse with ASD level 1 can be somewhat distant for a variety of reasons that I've discussed in thousands of other videos. But as the spouse of someone on the autism spectrum, you may have viewed their behavior as rejection, emotional deprivation, and whatnot. So the point of this little exercise here is it possible that you drug some insecurities into the marriage long before you met your ASD spouse? In other words, is it possible that your ASD spouse is paying for the sins of your father or mother? So, as you answer these questions, yes or no, think in terms of, okay, yes, this is true for me, and yes, this occurred for me before I met my ASD spouse, okay? But before we get started, some of the things that can cause childhood trauma would be witnessing domestic violence, serious illness or accident, neglect, natural disasters, loss of a loved one, community or school violence, childhood sexual, physical, or emotional abuse, or bullying in school or, with coworkers perhaps. So answer yes or no, and think in terms of this occurred for me even before I met my autistic spouse. Okay, you ready? Pause this video if you don't have a pencil and paper. Okay, here we go. Number 1. As a child, I was constantly at fault for things that had nothing to do with me. Number 2, I often have an inability to express uncomfortable emotions. Number 3, I'm often anxious. Number 4, I often try to avoid conflict. Number 5, sometimes I'm on high alert when interacting with others. Number 6, I'm often depressed. Number 7, sometimes I think that forming emotional connections with others is dangerous. Number 8, I have some major hang-ups about how I'm perceived by peers when I do open up. Number 9, I am a daughter who experienced cold mother syndrome. Number 10, I desperately want to maintain faith in those who are supposed to be protecting me. Number 11, as a child I experienced a narcissistic family dynamic. Number 12, sometimes I view potential connections through the lens of hurt. Number 13, as a child I was the family scapegoat, and sometimes I assume this role with others as an adult. Number 14, I have been the subject of manipulation or passive aggressiveness in childhood. Number 15, I learned to speak sparingly or only when necessary as a child. Number 16, I believe that love is hard to come by, and when it does, it has strings attached. Number 17, sometimes it's easier for me to believe that I'm the source of the problem rather than believing that the world is out to get me. Number 18, I have problems with trust. 19, sometimes I refuse to let anyone in. In other words, I don't let people get real close to me in some cases. 20, I often relive past events. In other words, flashbacks or nightmares. 21, I have engaged in self-destructive or risky behaviors. Number 22, sometimes I feel socially awkward around others. Number 23, sometimes I have uncontrollable anger. Number 24, when someone sets boundaries with me, I tend to view that as they are rejecting me. 25, when upset, I often withdraw and cry. 26, I believe that love is earned. In other words, it's always conditional. Number 27, I believe that I deserve everything that happens to me. Number 28, I have a poor grasp of setting boundaries with others. 29, sometimes I have a very deep sense of suspicion about other people's motives. Number 30, I often second guess the intentions behind other people's actions. Number 31, I often worry about what people will think about what I say. Number 32, I'm always looking for signs that people are about to leave. 33, I place unnecessary blame on myself. Number 34, I'm very sensitive to feeling rejected by others. And 35, in general, I feel like a victim in life. So this is not hard science here. It's a very informal quiz. And if you answered yes to approximately 50% of these questions, let's say 18 or so, then you may want to consider hooking up with a therapist who can help you do some childhood work. In other words, help you repair some childhood issues and go back and deal with some of these traumas that are sticking around and lingering today.